A woman stands in the middle of the street, whispering to a handful of red powder. The crowd watches in silence. No one moves, and no one dares speak. Then, she blows the powder onto a black horse. The people standing around aren't confused. They are convinced they've just witnessed something powerful and supernatural. And just like that, belief spreads faster than the truth ever could. We're in Birmingham in 1919, where post-war hope is the most dangerous currency of all. And this is the world of Peaky Blinders, a city where World War I may be over, but the real battles are just beginning. A place where gangs rule, and power ultimately belongs to whoever is ruthless enough to take it. A quiet stranger is coming to the city, with secret orders from the government. The gangs think he's just another outsider. What they don't realize is that Birmingham is about to change forever. So will the Peaky Blinders finally meet their match? The episode begins with a Chinese woman carrying a baby as she rushes through a crowded building, her face tense with urgency. A man escorts her quickly through the hallways until she reaches another woman waiting quietly in the shadows. Without hesitation, the mother places her baby in the woman's arms. She softly asks if the woman still has milk in her bosom. The woman nods, taking the child without another word. Nearby, an old man watches suspiciously and asks where they are going. The escort calmly replies that someone important is asking for the woman. Outside, the muddy streets of Birmingham stir with sudden unease as a man rides slowly through the town on a black horse. People who see him immediately pull their children close and hurry indoors. Moments later, the escort arrives with a Chinese woman and presents her to the rider. The man on the horse confirms she is the one he wanted and pays the escort. The woman then produces a small red pouch and pours red powder into her palm. She whispers over it like an ancient incantation before blowing it in the horse's nose. The crowd murmurs nervously. Was it a blessing or a spell? And why does everyone in Birmingham suddenly believe this horse cannot lose? The rider soon reaches a narrow house, where people along the street greet him respectfully as Mr. Shelby. Whether it's admiration or fear is hard to tell. Inside, he calls out for Finn. The young boy sits by the fireplace, nervously smoking a cigarette. The moment he hears the door open, he tosses it into the fire. Finn warns him that someone named Arthur is mad as hell. Mr. Shelby smirks and asks what a 10-year-old boy knows about hell. Finn quickly corrects him, saying he'll be turning 11 on Sunday. Mr. Shelby lifts a curtain at the back of the room, revealing a hidden doorway. Behind it lies the real heart of the house, a busy betting shop. Ledgers cover the tables. Men whisper over wagers, and the room buzzes with money moving through the streets. One of the clerks greets him by name, Tommy, and shows him the books, packed with bets placed on his horse. Soon, Tommy is called into an office where his brother Arthur waits. Arthur angrily questions the powder trick with a Chinese woman. Tommy shrugs. Times are hard, and people need a reason to lay a bet. But Arthur warns him that if the horse wins, everyone might start asking dangerous questions. Far from Birmingham, a well-dressed man sits alone in a train carriage, a stack of top-secret government files resting on his lap. One by one, he studies the pages. The first profile is Arthur Shelby, a gangster, racketeer, illegal bookmaker, and the leader of the Peaky Blinders. He flips to the next file and sees the name Thomas Shelby. Another Shelby brother equals another dangerous name. Meanwhile, in a smoky factory yard, a man stands before a group of workers, urging them to strike. The laborers cheer loudly, ready to fight for their rights. Back on the train, the stranger reads the man's profile as well. The name reads Freddie Thorne, known agitator, and an old friend of Tommy Shelby. The man on the train closes the file slowly, absorbing the connections, then leans back and closes his eyes as the train moves forward. But why would the government be studying the Shelby family so closely? And who exactly is this mysterious man traveling toward Birmingham? Later that day, Tommy walks into a crowded bar. Conversations stop instantly, and even the bartender looks uneasy as he pours Tommy a drink on the house. Yet Tommy still pays. Moments later, Freddie Thorne approaches, raising a glass to Tommy's health and quietly warning him that their names are now on a dangerous list. Inside the bar, the tension suddenly snaps when a man bursts in, shouting wildly, flipping tables. Before things get out of control, Tommy and Freddie come and take him down together. This is Danny, an old comrade who fought beside them in the trenches of France. Tommy kneels beside him and quietly whispers that the war is over, that he's not in France anymore. Slowly, Danny's panic fades. Realizing what he's done, he apologizes, ashamed of yet another outburst. Tommy sends him away while the bar slowly returns to normal. The bartender mutters that something needs to be done about Danny. Freddie bluntly suggests the unthinkable, saying that sometimes a mad horse has to be put down. He also admits that the same fate could very well one day await him. But Tommy says nothing. He simply leaves, telling the bartender to send the bill to the Peaky Blinders. Meanwhile, the mysterious man from the train finally arrives in Birmingham. At home, Polly Gray slaps a gang member to the ground after discovering Finn had been playing with a loaded gun he took from the betting shop. She forces a promise of silence before leading him to the family meeting, where Arthur Shelby warns everyone that a new police officer, a copper, is headed straight for their territory. But this isn't just any policeman. So why is the government suddenly sending someone powerful enough to challenge the Peaky Blinders? Tommy already knew about the copper, but he kept the details to himself. Aunt Polly Gray notices his hesitation and presses him, asking if he was ready to share his secrets. But Tommy stays silent. The copper everyone feared, and the man with the top secret files from the train, arrives in Birmingham that very night. The next morning, Aunt Paul confronts Tommy in church, demanding he confess before God. Tommy reluctantly admits to a side deal that had gone wrong when his men were supposed to steal motorcycles, but ended up intercepting the wrong crates. Those crates contained weapons bound for Libya. Paul demanded to know if he had disposed of them, but Tommy hadn't. He kept the crates out of the rain, ungreased and untouched. Aunt Paul grew furious, warning that the copper's arrival was a direct consequence. She urged Tommy to leave the weapons where the police could find them, but Tommy insisted Charlie wouldn't move contraband on a full moon. He promised the weapons would be shifted within 3 days. Meanwhile, Ada secretly met Freddie Thorne, planning a night together. The copper isn't just any officer, because he's hunting the weapons, and his next move could ignite a war in Birmingham. The next day, a striking woman arrives at the bar. She confidently introduces herself, claiming she was applying for the barmaid position. The bartender laughed, dismissing her as someone who didn't belong in Birmingham. But she opens her bag, producing a recommendation, and begins to sing while cleaning. Slowly, her charm and her skill win the bartender over, and he finally chooses to hire her. Meanwhile, the copper finally arrives at the police station, his presence commanding attention as all the other officers gave him a standing ovation. Furious, he denounces the corrupt policeman in his ranks and outlines his mission, which is to eradicate the Peaky Blinders, the Fenians, and the Communists. He introduces a new batch of loyal officers, ready to enforce his orders without question. In the next scene, Arthur's visiting the movies with 2 prostitutes. Even before the show begins, 2 coppers drag him out, beat him, and present him to their boss. The copper interrogates Arthur about the robbery, twisting his fingers and breaking one as a warning, but he insists that he knew nothing. The copper isn't just enforcing the law. He's also secretly planning to manipulate Arthur into becoming his informant, turning the Peaky Blinders from enemies into tools for his own hidden agenda. The bar was busy this Sunday because of the football match. Tommy arrives at the bar and opens a special window beside him. He asks the barmaid Grace for a bottle of rum. Harry, the bartender, whispers in Grace's ear that whatever Tommy asks for is on the house. Grace then gets a bottle of rum and gives it to Tommy. He asks Grace if she is a whore, claiming that if she isn't, then she is in the wrong place. Grace feels offended as Tommy leaves. Harry warns Grace about Tommy and tells her not to dilly-dally with him. Meanwhile, Ada and Aunt Paul are tending to Arthur's wounds. Tommy returns with the rum, making Arthur drink it and using the rum to clean his injuries. Arthur then tells Tommy about the robbery and the copper's offer. Aunt Paul looks at Tommy, knowing there is more he isn't saying. Arthur suggests holding a family meeting to vote on whether to cooperate with the police. That night, Ada goes out to see Freddie, while Tommy returns to the bar just in time to hear Grace sing. Tommy's presence in the bar isn't just casual. Something much larger will be taking place, and the copper's next move could change everything for the Shelbys. Tommy tries to get some sleep, but he wakes up because of a nightmare that drags him back into the war. The next day, Danny starts having yet another fit. He stumbles and sits outside a cafe. The owner steps out, telling him to leave. The owner takes out a pocket knife and approaches him. Seeing the knife, Danny tries to defend himself, but ends up stabbing and killing him instantly. Bystanders watch in shock as Danny flees the scene. Meanwhile, the copper hunting Tommy down, Inspector Campbell, goes to the train station to meet with the Secretary of State, Winston Churchill. Winston demands an update regarding the stolen weapons, and Campbell assures him that he will find the guns, killing anyone who stands in his way. He is told to bury bodies where no one can find them, and to keep the press blind to the chaos. Later that evening, Charlie prepares to transport the weapons when Tommy arrives, changing the plan and instructing Charlie to move them elsewhere. The next day, Campbell meets Grace, the barmaid at the museum, revealing that she's been working for him all along. They discuss the mystery of the stolen weapons. She believes the Fenians may have taken the guns, arguing that the communists are too weak to pull off such a theft, while the Peaky Blinders seem far too busy with their own operations. But Campbell warns her not to let personal history cloud her judgment. Grace admits her father may have been killed by the Fenians, but insists that it won't affect her reasoning. Campbell then hands her a list of serial numbers, instructing her to quietly check any weapons she might encounter. Before leaving, he reminds her that her father was one of the finest men he ever served with, and says he's proud of how far she's come. Later, Thomas Shelby takes Danny to the riverbank. He explains that the man Danny killed was Italian, and the family demands revenge to avoid a brutal gang war. The victim's brothers watch silently from across the river as witnesses. Tommy offers Danny a mercy death by his own hand, rather than torture by the Italians. Danny asks only that Tommy look after his wife and sons. Tommy agrees and shakes his hand. Danny turns away at a boat docks nearby. A shot rings out, and the Italians leave, satisfied. But what they don't know is that Tommy's plans are rarely as simple as they appear. Tommy returns to the betting shop, where Arthur is waiting impatiently. Arthur excitedly tells him that their horse had won the race. Tommy simply nods, completely unsurprised. The entire spectacle with the red powder had been part of his plan from the start. By convincing everyone the horse had been blessed, he had made the whole town believe in the trick, pushing gamblers across Birmingham to place their bets on the same horse. Tommy then explained the next step of the scheme. The second time they performed the powder trick, the horse would win again, strengthening the illusion. But when the entire city finally begins to bet big, that will be the moment the horse loses, and they will walk away with all the money. Arthur slowly realizes the brilliance of the strategy as Tommy walks away. Meanwhile, the boat carrying Danny's supposed dead body actually belongs to Charlie Strong. The execution had been staged, using sheep's brain to fake the gunshot wound. Tommy only wanted Danny to face the reality of death and shock him back to his senses. Now, Charlie was secretly taking him to London for a new assignment with the Peaky Blinders. Later, Polly Gray asks Tommy if he did the right thing with the stolen weapons. Tommy calmly says he did the right thing and walks away. As he passes the bar, he notices Grace standing outside, quietly watching him. The episode finishes with Tommy and Grace locking eyes, both hiding dangerous secrets, unaware that their paths are about to collide in ways that could change Birmingham forever. So, have we made a Peaky Blinder out of you? Are you hungry for more? You can tell us in the comments, and we can make sure to drop more episodes into your lap via the channel for you to like and subscribe. Would you trust Grace, or would you see some kind of danger coming? Let us know what you think.